Hi, I'm Steve Ledoux, the town manager here in Acton, and we're here today to talk about the new program we're very excited about called Acton Power Choice. You may remember about a year ago we had a little show that kind of talked a little about Acton Power Choice, but now we're in getting ready to implement the program. With me today is Marlena Patton. Marlena works for Peregrine Energy. They're our consultant on the project. They did the bids that allowed us to go out and try to get the best electric rates that we possibly could for the town. So Marlena, why don't you talk a little about what is the Acton Power Choice program? What's it entail? What can people expect?
Sure. So I'll start with what it is, which is what's known as an electricity aggregation. So in Massachusetts, there are 3 ways to buy the actual electricity that you use. One, and what most people do, is to have your electric utility buy it for you, and that's the supply part of your electric bill. That's called basic service. The second is that you have the right to go out and make a contract yourself with an electricity supplier, and you're probably getting marketed to in the mail with phone calls, different electricity suppliers competing for your business, and so that's what that is. And that would be reflected on the supply part of your Eversource bill. The third way, and Massachusetts is one of, I think, just 6 states that allows this, is called municipal aggregation, and that's what this program is. And that's where your municipal government signs a contract on your behalf with an electricity supplier and negotiates a price using the bulk buying power of the entire community. So that's what the Acton Power Choice program is. It's a municipal aggregation, and it will impact just the supply part of your Eversource electric bill.
And one of the reasons the town got into this is, first of all, we thought we could realize perhaps some savings for our residents, but also the Board of Selectmen have established a goal of trying to lower the carbon footprint for both the town and the town as a government and town as an entity, and really look at sustainability options. So as we'll talk about, part of our rate will be a green component, so a green component that's from renewable Massachusetts sources, and then there'll be another option that we'll talk about where you can have 100% a Massachusetts renewable green choice. So we did it kind of twofold: try to save money for residents and to try to introduce more green into our electricity. So the program changes the electric supplier. What does that mean? What will we see? How will people see this? Who's going to be the electric supplier?
Right. So the town signed a contract with a company called Dynegy. So what that means is, beginning with October bills, what people will see who participate in this program is the supply part of your Eversource bill, where right now it says Eversource is your electricity supplier. It'll say Dynegy instead. And then on the part of your Eversource bill where your supply charge is calculated, the rate that's used will switch to the program rate instead of the current Eversource rate. Those are actually the only 2 changes that you're going to see as a participant in this program, and the only 2 changes on your bill. You're not going to see a second bill. You're not going to see any additional charges from the program. You still get your bill the same as always from Eversource. You still pay Eversource, and in fact, you still call Eversource when the power goes out. You're still an Eversource customer. It's just that on the supply part of the bill, you see these 2 changes, and then behind the scenes, as you just mentioned, your electricity is going to have more renewable energy in it than it currently does. Mm-hmm.
And what if people want to get more renewable energy than just I think we're 5% of the energy that will be Massachusetts renewable on the basic service. So what if people want more renewable energy than that?
Yeah, so actually what's great is the program is designed with 2 options. So the default option, which is the one that you get enrolled in if you don't ask for the other one, is called Power Choice Standard. And that option includes an additional 5% renewable energy from New England renewable energy projects above the state minimum. So the state minimum this year is 12% from, has to have 12% renewable energy from New England-based renewable projects. Power Choice Standard is going to include minimum amount of 17%. And I'll just give you the prices while we're at it. And the price for that will be 10.720 cents per kilowatt hour, which would be a little bit cheaper than what the Eversource price is going to be at the same time, which is 10.759 cents. For those who want 100% renewable energy in their electricity, the Power Choice Green option is the one that they'd have to choose. You have to ask for that explicitly. It's a little bit more expensive. It's 12.712 cents a kilowatt hour, so it's about 2 more cents per kilowatt hour. What that means in your monthly bill just really depends on how much electricity you use. But what's really neat is regardless of which option you choose, you're going to be increasing the renewable energy. And if you choose the Power Choice Standard option, you get both the increased renewable energy and a lower price than what Eversource will be charging this fall.
Okay. My apologies. I said Massachusetts Renewable. It is New England Renewable. And the prices you just quoted, how long are they good for?
Yeah, so this is what's really nice about this program. So the town signed a 2-year contract locking these prices in with Dynegy. So the contract actually starts September this year. What that means is those who participate would be enrolled with their September meter read. And I should probably, before we even talk about price terms, just back up and say that anyone who's on Eversource basic service will be automatically enrolled in the program. So when I'm talking about kind of the default offering that you get and when this all happens, who that's applying to is anyone who's on Eversource basic service. So all those folks who did not already try to sign a contract or successfully sign a contract with another electricity supplier, which is most of the community. You'll be automatically enrolled with your September meter read. That's when the contract starts. Now your September bill isn't going to show that because the bill looks backwards 30 days to the period of time before you were enrolled. But you would be enrolled with your September meter read, and that's when the contract starts. And then the contract goes until September 2019 meter reads. So it's a 24-month contract, and in that time, the price won't change. And that makes this program different from both Eversource, which the price for your supply part of your bill changes every 6 months for residential and every 3 months for commercial or for large commercial accounts. And it also makes it different from many of the other offers you're going to get in the mail and over the phone. In many cases, those are giving you a very low introductory rate, but for a limited period of time. And then once that introductory period ends, you're then charged a variable rate or your rate spikes. So what the town has done is negotiated a price that's fixed for 2 solid years. So it's something you can rely on.
So does that mean that if I'm a customer, I am locked into this program for 2 years?
So that's another distinction, and the answer is no. I'll give you the easy answer first, which is no. And that's another distinction between this program and many of the offers that you're going to get out there, which is that the town signed the contract, but it included consumer protections in that contract. And a chief consumer protection is that no individual participant is locked in. That means you can participate for 1 week, for 2 weeks, for 1 month, for 2 months, for 1 year, 1 year and a half, as long or as little as you like, and you can get out anytime. There's no minimum participation period, no early termination fee. And this is different from many of the offers that you're going to get from electricity suppliers via mail and over the phone. Very often they lock you in for a period of time and then they charge you a fee if you try to break that contract and get out earlier.
So in Acton, who can participate and how do they enroll in the program?
So as I mentioned before, anyone who's on Eversource basic service will be automatically enrolled with their September meter read. So from that point forward, their electricity use would be charged at the program rate and would include the higher amount of renewable electricity. But the program is open to all electricity customers in the geographic boundaries of Acton. Residential, commercial, anyone who already has signed a supply agreement with another electricity supplier. If you have already signed an electricity supply agreement and you want to participate in the program, you won't be automatically enrolled because you have a contract and that contract's honored. But you can join just with a phone call, just by calling Dynegy, the electricity supplier, and asking to enroll. We would caution before you do that to check the terms of your agreement to make sure you're not leaving a contract early and getting one of those early termination fees that I mentioned before.
Okay. And why is this an automatic enrollment? Why do people automatically get into this program as opposed to opting in? It's kind of reverse than what you usually normally see. Usually you don't opt out, you usually opt in. So.
Yeah, and it's definitely a question a lot of people have. And well, the main reason is that it's the state law. If a community wants to put an aggregation together and implement a program like this, they have to do it this way. There has to be an automatic enrollment, and then if you don't want to participate, you opt out. But there's actually a benefit to the town with this model, and that benefit is if a supplier has to wait for people to take the initiative to call and enroll, they don't know how many customers they're going to have, and they'll probably have a lot fewer customers. And that all equals risk, and risk typically equals a higher price. So by having some guarantee of the amount of customers, they can offer a lower price, and also by having a larger customer base, they have the ability to offer a lower price. Additionally, when a community puts out something to the market and asks for bids like this, if you can offer a certain size of customers, you're going to get a lot more electricity suppliers interested in bidding, and competition yields a lower price. Whereas if they had an uncertain amount of customers or a very small number of customers, probably you get fewer bids. So it benefits the community from a price perspective in helping to create a more competitive environment and a more favorable environment for lower prices, and then also it's the state law.
Okay. Are there going to be any official notifications on this? How, we're in the summer, so obviously it's sometimes hard to get word out to folks. But what's the game plan for getting notification out?
Yeah, so there is an official notification going out on the 16th of this month. So it's August. If you're watching this in the future, it's August 16th. There's a letter going out, and that is the official mailing for the program, and the letter is going to anyone on Eversource Basic Service. So it's going to those people that are going to be automatically enrolled, and the letter will explain the program, it will explain the two options, and it will also explain how to opt out if you don't want to participate, and it will also give you the Eversource basic service prices so you can compare the program to what the utility is offering. It's important to note, though, that there are going to be potentially other mailings coming through that might try to look like this. So I'll just describe what it's going to look like too. So it's going to be a letter. The envelope will have the town seal on it. It will have the name of the town, and then in the return address you'll also see the name Dynegy. So it's going to be a little hybrid return address. The letter itself will have the town seal on it, and it'll have your name at the end of it, right. Which is an important piece of information. So if you get anything else in the mail, it's not representing the town. If you get a phone call from anybody asking for information, if you get somebody knocking on your door asking for information, remember it's not affiliated with this program. And also remember, most people are going to be automatically enrolled, which means you don't even have to give information to participate 90% of the time.
Right. And we're also going to be doing, I think, 3 kind of informational sessions as we get nearer implementation date. I think one is August 31st at 7 o'clock at room 204 of Town Hall. I think the next one, what's it, September 7th? Is it? I forgot the dates.
Well, they're on the website,
yeah, right.
Which is ActonPowerChoice.com. We'll put them up there. And yeah, so there are 3 information sessions, and I think you guys were good enough to schedule them after the August vacation period. Right, so right, they're kind of August 31st and then 2 in the beginning of September.
Exactly. So you've talked about what people should do if they get a letter or call. In fact, we did get a complaint from some folks of receiving a letter such as Marlena was talking about, and we have filed a complaint with the Department of Public Utilities as well as the Consumer Protection Department of the Attorney General, and I think Lexington had a similar yep. case. There are people, as we all know, people who try to take advantage, and we're trying to stop that. Once people are enrolled, you've kind of already talked about this, but I think it's probably important to repeat it. Are they going to get 2 bills? What happens when the power goes out? Things like that. Yeah,
and I agree. It's definitely worth repeating. So the important thing to remember is you're still an Eversource customer. And so what that means is almost nothing changes. So those two things I mentioned change. You see Dynegy on your bill, and your rate changes to the program rate. Your rate changes to that 10.720 rate if you're in Power Choice Standard, or it'll change to 12.712 if you're on Power Choice Green. But otherwise, nothing else changes. So Eversource is still your electric utility. That means you're still getting just one electric bill from Eversource. You're not going to get a separate bill. You're still paying Eversource. You're not paying a separate company. And you're still calling Eversource if the power goes out. And it's worth noting, some people get worried if they're going to get a worse quality of service. Maybe now that they're in this town program, Eversource is going to put a little asterisk next to their name. And so when the power goes out and they call, Eversource is going to say, no, wait a minute, you're in that Acton aggregation. We're just going to move you to the bottom of the list for getting the power back on. And that's not actually the way it works. And the reason is because the supply part of your Eversource bill isn't where they're making their money off of you. Eversource is fundamentally a distribution company. So all those services they provide and maintaining the poles and wires and getting the electricity to you, that is the delivery part of your bill. That's where they charge you for that. That's where they make their margin. The supply part of your bill is a straight pass through. They're not charging a markup there. So if you choose a separate electricity supplier instead of them, it doesn't matter to them. So you still call them as always, and they're still going to give you the same level of service as they always have.
And some residents said, especially that one storm we had around Halloween a few years ago, they would probably say their service couldn't get much worse than that anyway, so.
Right. So you want to make sure people don't worry about that. Yes. And so this will not be the reason the service gets worse.
So we're locked in for 2 years. What happens in September 2019?
Yeah, so in September 2019 is when the contract with Dynegy is up, and the town can make a choice then. If the program's going well, and that's up to you guys to decide, then you can go out to bid, go out to the market and ask for bids from electricity suppliers. And if you see a price you like, and sign a new contract, then anybody who's active in the program at that time would be automatically enrolled in the new contract, and you guys would put out an announcement. So the new price would be publicized. And if for whatever reason the town decides the program isn't working at the end of this contract, then you can cancel the program, and at that point everybody who's active in the program would be automatically returned to Eversource basic service. At no time would there be any danger of interruption in service. It would all be just seamless, and it, again, would just be that supply part of your bill. You would see these changes happen, but it wouldn't be a big earth-shaking change.
In fact, I think I just forwarded you an email. I think it was the city of Melrose, who had been in electric aggregation, probably one of the earlier communities that did it. They just went out to bid, and they determined the rate that I guess Eversource is their provider. I'm not sure. Was they couldn't do a better rate than that, and they decided they weren't going to do the program for the time being. So,
yep, that's correct. Yep, they decided to take a little break from it, and so everybody just got switched back to the utilities basic service and seamless.
So what happens to people that are have budget billing, or they're eligible for a low income discount rate?
Yeah, so if you have a low income discount rate, that doesn't change, that's still applied. That is a discount that's applied for your entire bill, and the utility applies it after your bill is put together. So if you participate in this program and you participate in Power Choice Standard, you get that price that's a little bit cheaper than Eversource, and then you would get the low income discount on top of that. So there's no change at all there. Budget billing does change a little bit. The way Eversource handles this is it would still apply to the delivery part of your bill, so that part of your bill would still be the same every month, but the supply part of your bill would start to vary and be calculated based on your use every month. So if having the same bill every month is very important to you, if budget billing is really important, then you would actually want to opt out of the program in order to retain that. And to opt out, you can, if you get a letter in the mail, if you're one of those folks, there'll be a reply card that you can send back, or you can call Dynegy, or you can go to the program website and there is an opt-out form there.
You talked earlier about how obviously we're locked in with our rates for 2 years. Eversource, based on time of year, they establish prices twice a year. So, there is conceivably a point in time where they might be cheaper than the town rate or not. So, can people opt out and then when it gets favorable again, opt back in, kind of play the market, so to speak?
Yeah. A very common question, a logical one. So first, you're right that Eversource prices change every 6 months for that supply portion of your bill, or more frequently if you have a commercial or a large commercial account. So for starters, I would say if you want to participate in this program and you're thinking about savings, you want to kind of take the long view, remembering that you'd be comparing a fixed price contract with something that varies. And whenever you do that, you're going to have a little up and down on the varying, and the goal would then be for the fixed price to beat the average of all those changing prices. But if you look at it from 6-month period to 6-month period to 6-month period, you are sometimes going to see periods where the Eversource price looks better. If that happens and you want to get out of the program, you can. You always have the right to opt out at any time. You can technically get back into the program, but the supplier retains the right to quote you a market rate at that point. So what you would want to do then is just ask what the price is that they're going to give you, and then you could decide if they're going to give you a market price and it's not the one you want, then you may want to stay with basic service. There's a reason the suppliers do that, that's built into the contract. And again, it goes back to what I was saying before about risk equaling a higher price and reducing risk, opening the door for a lower price. If an electricity supplier had to bear the risk of customers, large numbers of customers, kind of gaming the system, being in the program when the program price is favorable, and then moving lots of people over to Eversource when that price is more favorable, and then moving lots of people back, that becomes very expensive for them because they've already bought the electricity, they're planning to serve you. So by putting this provision in that you're not guaranteed the program price if you opt out and opt back in, that reduces that risk a little bit, and again opens the door for them to quote a lower price.
Okay. So I guess in closing, what would you say kind of the key benefits to our residents for the Acton Power Choice program?
Yeah, so I would say one of them is price stability. You know that this price isn't going to change, which makes it different from both Eversource and the other offers that you're going to get out there. One is really cost-effective renewable energy. The other offers, certainly the ones I've seen, are quoting much higher prices for renewable electricity, whether they're giving you a little bit more like Power Choice Standard or they're giving you 100%. I think Acton got really good prices for these. Another one is a really well-vetted program that has consumer protections in it, like the ability to get out at any time with no penalty and no fee. In this case, what you're getting, unlike what you get when you sign a contract with a supplier, is a contract that the town put together on your behalf instead of a contract that the supplier put together on their behalf. So this is a contract that you guys put together, the town lawyers looked at, and it was really well vetted. Also, the supplier's financials were reviewed, their customer support abilities reviewed. So with this, you get a transparent, really trustworthy program. And I'm trying to think. I think there's probably more benefits, but I think those are the top ones that I'm thinking of right now.
That's fine. So we've been talking to Marlena Patton from Renewable Energy about the town's Acton Power Choice program. You'll be receiving a letter in the very near future that outlines the program, and we'll also have some information about informational sessions that we'll be holding. And very, very excited about this program and really looking forward to implementation. So I'd like to thank you, Marlena, for being on, and thank the viewers. And once again, this has all been about our Acton Power Choice program, and thank you for watching.